number 56. It has been, honestly, a disaster of a week with the dog.
Yeah,
So for those of you that don't know, I know I posted it on Discord. Our dog tore his other ACL. No one's here to watch him, so he's actually underneath the desk right now. We have his little weenie wagon over there.
Well, I'm always here watching him.
Yeah. Usually our father's here so that he's not antsy. But our dad's not home right now, so that's why he's chilling with us.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's, for those of you wondering, it's going to be like this for a little bit with the dog.
Yeah, he can't do much, but he gets Otzi.
He gets it to, yeah. And he moves this like right here.
Yeah, I can't go closer because...
Yeah, literally the dog's right there. So again, this one might be a little bit of a shit show. Number 56 might be a shit show.
Now.
Yeah.
Won't be that bad.
So this week, I mean, we had some big news this week, all throughout the week. Not so much political, but the first one I want to talk about is this one. This was Monday's big news, which feels like it wasn't. It wasn't like it was just yesterday, you know?
Oh.
So controversial. This I kind of just grabbed because it's Chael Sonnen, and Chael Sonnen's always right, as everyone knows. But
the cardiac arrest.
Cardiac arrest. So for those of you that don't know, LeBron's son, Bronny, which I believe is the one that, I think he's the oldest.
I think it's
Bronny.
Bronny.
He's the one that LeBron said the only way I'll be able to retire is if I play one season with my son on my team or whatever. And he just suffered a heart attack cardiac arrest out of nowhere on his one of the college practice teams or something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but what is he, 18, 19? Just drops of cardiac arrest on the court. Now, I know where, and I think our fans know where my mom stands on this one, but we have to dance around it because of YouTube's terms and conditions. This is an interesting one. A healthy, borderline professional athlete, cardiac arrest on the court. Probably, you know, but Chael Sonnen, who is a former UFC fighter who does great analytics on the UFC, he believes that it was due to steroids. Now, Chael has also stated that he and LeBron have the same steroid guy. So, just saying, like him as a fighter, former fighter, and LeBron have the same steroid guy. So it's kind of interesting that he has a take on this, because I mean he would know. I'm sure he has an idea. I'm sure he has people that kind of say in his ear, you know, knows what's going on in the back doors of LeBron's
I think it's an interesting play because everybody expects that it could be related to.
And I just said we have to dance around that topic for YouTube.
So you can edit it out.
I'll have to, yeah.
All right, so we'll say everybody thinks that it's based on something else. More recent medical situation. This guy comes out and says steroids.
Whoa, this guy. Be careful, Mom. You're talking about Chael Sonnen.
Chael Sonnen. But point being, I don't know him, but anyhow.
You should.
It's interesting play because on the one hand, prior to, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, everyone would have been like, oh, everyone blames steroids. Oh, you know, shame on you. But now it's like, what's the lesser of two evils? So people probably like, phew, he blames steroids. Like, he might be relieved that, some people may be relieved that he blames steroids versus what a lot of other people may think is the obvious thing.
I saw an interesting statistic, right? So I don't know the number was before 2020, which something happened in 2020.
Right.
So apparently, like, on average, there was like 7 professional athletes that would have some kind of cardiac injury. Since then, 2020, 150 athletes each season have had a cardiac problem. Now, again, dancing around the subject here for YouTube terms and conditions.
Yes.
But this is an interesting one. Now, I will say, though, for a situation like this, I don't want to go right to, you know, but the way I see it is your father's one of the greatest, if not the greatest athlete of all time. Maybe not best. That's a whole other topic, but great athlete. For you to have his friend group, I guarantee you, celebrities, rappers, whatever, I would have thought that this was more of a drug problem than any other problem for a guy his age. If not, then I would lean to what we can't say on YouTube. But steroids, I didn't even think about steroids. Of course, that could be a problem, especially if there's a good argument as to why LeBron probably is taking something at his age just to keep up in the sport. That wouldn't surprise me, and I'm not against that for age. But if he's giving the same thing to his son, I mean, yeah, you're going to have problems. At 18,
Well, here's the thing, and it's if you want to dance, okay, if we don't want to pin it on any one particular thing,
Yeah.
scientists,
Our viewers know what we're talking about,
right?
but you know.
Scientifically speaking, right, and I look at it from a science perspective, and most scientists in any type of situation similar to this, they're going to say, has there been a recent major something that would change this? Now,
What are you implying, mother?
no, but I'm saying, say it's steroids, okay?
Yeah.
Why haven't we had that increase? Now, the question is, are there more steroids? Are they being improperly made? Is it because he had an underlying condition and
Right.
steroids are pushing other young people? I'm looking at it totally science-based. I'm not saying it's going to be one
I'm with
thing.
you. The more I think about it, like, when you take all the guys that have died from steroids, which is, as we know, rest in peace, Joe Linder and Rich Piana, all those guys, they were big dudes. Bronny's not that big. I mean, he's tall, but he's not packing so much muscle that his heart's stopping. So I don't know what kind of steroid. Also, I would say, why hasn't it affected his father?
Why haven't so many other individuals experienced that at his age? Because we know steroids is common. To your point about drugs, okay, so I grew up with the Dennis Rodman age.
Dennis.
Real drug addicts, right? I mean, admitted drug people who, I shouldn't say that, allegedly, took drugs, in an era where cocaine was very popular, 80s, 90s, whatever. They weren't dropping at the rate that these young kids are dropping.
Right.
So if you're not going to attribute it to one thing that seems glaringly obvious should be looked at, you got to start asking questions. Why are all these young people having this issue? I actually heard some doctor, I think it was Sanjay Gupta. I think it was him, but I'm not sure. I saw a headline that said, oh, this happens all the time, that this isn't uncommon, the amount of people that are dropping dead or young people with myocarditis. I don't believe that this is a very common thing. I don't recall this many people in different sports at different times at such a young age having these heart conditions. And if that was the case, nobody talked about it. I'd like to see the data, but it's very interesting that they're attributing it to steroids. If that's the case, wouldn't you see more, especially football players, which is really common, dropping dead on the field?
I would also think that I'll take you to the other way. I know a lot of these athletes, college athletes, have to take have to have vaccinations, right? My question is, why him of all the college athletes that have to take it?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the ratio of college athletes dropping from cardiac problems, but I remember last season, there was that one guy that, he had a heart attack on the court during a game. I don't think it was NCAA.
Same team.
Is it?
Yeah, it was the same team. Ikeuzi, I think it's a very unusual name.
Oh.
It was the same team. That's why they said it probably saved Bronny's life, because they had it happen already. So they had all the stuff
interesting.
there.
I didn't realize that.
I just saw that article post fact.
Oh.
Yeah, can't think of the guy's name, but yes, he was on
but
USC.
Then I would my argument would be I would believe it more if it was someone on a different team, because that tells me that they're not both, or the whole team's not on the same thing. Like, so let's say they are all taking steroids on that team. If it was a different team, then I'd go, okay, we can rule out steroids, because every team's probably taking something different, steroids-wise.
Well, from a science basis, and you would think from these teams, if they're going to deny the fact that it was some major, medical event that we all experienced, if you're going to deny that, there's money involved in this. They're paying a lot for these people. You would think that they would have doctors or scientists or data people, especially at USC. They have a whole science division analyzing this. Why certain players and not others? Now, I do know they started to attribute people that had an underlying heart condition for whatever reason. It's that boost of adrenaline. When you have myocarditis, I don't know if it's your pericarditis, when you have a boost of adrenaline, which explains why a lot of young people were being hit when they were on the field.
They talk a lot about how a lot of these, not even just college sports, but professional sports too, there's a whole team of people on a team dedicated to being ahead of steroid testing. So what I mean by that is they purposely come up with new versions of steroids that can't be detected by steroid testing. So, like, there's teams dedicated to that that no one talks about. But, there's more professional athletes on steroids than you think. I guarantee it. honestly, I think those linemen, the ones that, who are the, I don't know football that well, but the ones that get hit the most,
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're taking something just for
the
pain.
point is, why aren't more people in athletes, if that's the case? Why aren't they experiencing it? That's the question. I mean, totally unbiased. It's an unbiased scientific question that you ask. Why some and not others?
Yeah.
Why are some young people dropping dead or all of a sudden experiencing myocarditis? You have to figure out why. And you can't just say, well, this is perfectly normal. It is not normal. Or show me the data that this has happened for the last 50 years that you have these many people. If it's attributed to steroids, you know, shame on USC, and let it be a message to every other team out there. You better be checking these athletes, because this happens to be a player that supposedly was going to have an NBA career, et cetera, and that costs a lot of money.
That's the other half of this. I don't know if I mean, can he play? I don't know. Do you play for the season when you have cardiac? What's protocol on that?
I do know I saw a statement from the parents that I didn't verify it was true, but they said if he can't play anymore, so be it.
Right.
So, I mean, that's
well,
the
then
reality.
I wonder if that means that this is LeBron's last season. Because, right, he said if he can't play with his son, he's got no reason to keep
Can I tell you
playing.
something? If my son had a cardiac arrest, the least of my concerns as a multi-billionaire is, gee, will I play another year? Now, it's a shame because his father is a legend in and of himself, and, you know, he'd probably be entitled to that last year, and I'm sure he'll have it. But I would think that that's the least of their concerns. And for somebody who is so vocal like LeBron James, who maybe will retire pretty soon, who owns that NBA, the whole business. I mean, he is the face of it, especially now. I would like to think that he would take a real sincere interest in what's going on here and find out why that happened to his son to avoid it happening to anybody else.
Yeah, I
whether
don't
it be
know, I don't know
steroids,
if we've
drugs,
had-
whatever. You know?
I don't know if we've had any professional NBA players drop from it just yet. I'm trying to think of if there was any, besides Damar Hamlin or whatever it was, the one that got, remember the football player that had the cardiac arrest on the field?
He reached out to the family.
But and to this day, we're still not 100% sure if that was just from getting hit in the chest or not. I don't think we've had anyone just drop. So that's why I wonder why him and not anyone else in his family or just
well, there have been many other players.
Professionals, though?
Well, a lot of soccer players. Professionals.
Players,
I mean, big ones that have dropped dead on the field. I'm not a
See,
big
I don't
soccer
know
person.
Soccer
Right.
that well.
Um,
I would need someone who's
We've
well in the
got a
sport.
recent player that's loaded with blood clots. I think he was one defensive player. I sent that to Dad. I don't know. I can't
really?
remember who it was. Yeah, he's loaded with blood clots, and now he
That's
can't play.
football or
That's
soccer?
football. I don't know. Basketball, I mean, too bad Mike's not here. I have a feeling there have been others with heart issues. I just don't know off the top of my head. But anyhow, whether it has been or hasn't, this is a wake-up call. We do know a young person last year on his team, the same team, experienced a heart
That's why
issue.
I think it's probably more, to Chael Sonnen's point, I bet you the USC or whatever it is, UNC, USC or whatever, that tells me that you're giving your players something that you shouldn't be. If it's two on the same team, if it's two on different teams, I go, okay. If it was the same team, then I go, what are you giving to your players?
Well, how many high school kids have there's a couple that have dropped dead playing the game, basketball.
Yeah, but that's another one that...
high school kids.
Yeah, but it's not as regulated drug-wise. So, like, if I knew kids that were taking steroids on my soccer team, they never checked for that.
I know, but I'm saying their age, because he's technically a high school senior. He just graduated.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just started practicing this summer because he's a freshman in the fall. So they're working out now. But there have been freshmen that just dropped dead in the middle of a basketball game. It has happened, 19-year-olds. Maybe they're taking steroids in high school, but we know that that's a possibility. But to say that I don't know what it's happened to, I mean, we know it's happening on the high school level.
At a high school level, again, there's no testing. That's what I mean. Like, NCAA, you're getting there's regulators and everything. So if you're dropping in high school, I mean, best you got is the school nurse, and she's not diagnosing you with a cocaine overdose, you know? So...
Right, we've been saying for how long? These are businesses. They have whole teams that monitor everything these people eat, drink, their muscle levels, the whole 9 yards. If somebody's pumping them with steroids, you would think that even though they may not announce it, they're checking these people on the side to make sure they don't have a heart attack.
Right. So it says EPO in particular, which is actually what I assumed in the beginning. That's how Joe Lister Joe Lister most likely passed from EPO, but I think there's some other things going on there too. But either way, I hope Bronny gets better. I mean, it sucks at 18 and go to cardiac arrest.
His name was Vince Iwuchukwu. USC player last year. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce it. IWCHUKWU.
Okay.
Yeah, he had the same thing on the same
team.
Well,
Wow.
USC. He was USC last year, and Bronny was practicing USC. But
interesting.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
That was yours.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to think of how do we transition, Mother? I might have to just do the other big memorable moment of this week, which is the where is it? The 5 most memorable moments from the UFC stuff, UFO stuff.
Oh.
So I mean, this is another one where I'm like, how is not everyone talking about this in their daily lives? Like, how am I not hearing this at the gym every single day? But I've heard more about the Bronny stuff. So for those of you that don't know, there was a hearing this week on a former military whistleblower, or whatever you want to call it. He was talking about how all the UFO and UAPs that our government has been hoarding for like the last 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get to read all of these. Let's see. But these are kind of like the overall big top 5 moments during the hearing. Now the hearing was over 2 or 3 days, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I think they stopped Thursday talking about, and maybe, I don't know, I have to check that. But doesn't really matter. All I know is that we were told that we've conducted they cited interviews that he conducted with over 40 witnesses over a 4-year period. So, okay. Non-biologics.
Could you just scroll down
Go
a minute?
ahead.
I just saw something. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Well, I'm just trying to think of what.
Asked by, let's look at this line. Asked by Moskowitz from Florida how such a program. Grush claimed that the effort is above congressional oversight. That means nobody's watching it.
Yeah.
And bankrolled by a misappropriation of funds.
This was the big one that was.
What does he say? Does that mean there's money in the budget that's set to go to a program, but it doesn't, and it goes to something else? Yes, I have knowledge of that. Okay, people, again, where's the money coming from?
Right.
You and me. Or from outside interests where nobody's tracking it. That's the bigger issue to me than the freaking UFOs.
Really? See,
Yeah.
I still think that the fact that we have non-human biologics were found at the crash site who uncovered that he has not personally spotted a UAP but told the panel of multiple colleagues who were injured by UAPs.
Yeah, but non-human biologics, okay? They found something, biology, that wasn't human at these sites.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to an airplane that crashed and find non-human biologics surrounding the plane. There could be stuff that's spilled, nail polish, this, that, that, that. There's a lot of stuff that's non-human biologics.
Sounds like you're an alien denier, but okay,
no, I'm not
whatever.
at all. I absolutely, I've always felt that there's a real possibility. I think Burchett, senator who's running the committee, when they asked him, should we be concerned, his answer was correct. These must be such advanced beings that if they really wanted to take us out, they would have done it by now.
Right, so I saw that apparently, again, I don't know if it was this or someone, or if this guy said it or someone else said it, but he said that these UFOs that they found are about 50,000 years more advanced than where we are right now.
Okay.
That's nuts.
Okay.
If that's true, but again, I don't know what determines that. What was the other one?
I think
Stigma
I'm more shocked
associates-
that they haven't done anything to the world yet, this particular world. But to your point, maybe as we were talking about pyramids and whatnot, maybe they have been here for a while. Maybe they left the Earth. Maybe they've done a lot of things. We don't know.
Right. They also said, and the other big one out of this was UFO spot accelerating to supersonic speeds. So apparently it got like 60 miles away in a second. Which is insane, if that's true. But I saw something recently, and I think it still had to do with this court hearing, where they said that they found a spaceship. I sound like such a tin hat person right now. But they said that they found a spaceship that looked like it can fit only like 6 or 7 people in it. But when you walk in, it's the size of a football field.
Yeah, you're telling me.
I was like, wait, what? Like that. So that means that they've been able, if it's true, that means that they've been able to reach the 4th dimension, which we haven't, right? You have something that's this big, but you can fit hundreds of people in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that if we got our hands on that technology, I mean, that changes everything.
Well, I like the last comment. The technology that we faced is far superior to anything that we had, Fravor said, claimed.
And there's nothing.
And there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing. I mean, that is one. Yes, that's statement of fact. Okay, but what's to do about it? I mean, I'm more in awe. I'll put it this way. I'm not nervous about it. Maybe I should be, but you can't do anything about it. I'm in awe that there are life beings out there with that capability, and they haven't used it against us.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing that we have that they want. Why
We're
would
no
they,
threat to them.
Yeah.
I guess we're not a
They
threat to
look
them,
at
and
us
that's
they're
fine.
like, you guys have cars? We stopped those years ago.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Those are a thing of the past for us.
Yeah, maybe. It's just, or maybe from a technology standpoint, they're at a different level, but biologically speaking, they're not anything
Yeah, who
similar
knows?
to what we are. I don't know.
I would recommend watching most of the hearing. I mean, it's better to do in video form. I didn't get the chance to watch the video today, but even then, I was like, whoa. So, how about this one? This is, again, another big one this week. So, this one I want to talk about because this makes me happy. Meta plans to retention hooks. Sorry. Ooh. Continue without supporting. As more than half of Threads users leave the app. So remember how it's funny, right? This kind of goes back to how much the mainstream media hates Elon. Right, remember last week or 2 weeks ago when they announced Threads, they were like, it has 100 million users in a day, and now they've lost half of it in like a week. And so I like this because I don't like when people tear down Elon, for one. And two, Threads absolutely sucks. I don't know how many of you guys have used it yet, but you can't throw out what's a beta for now. So for my mother who doesn't use Threads, it's basically Twitter but shittier.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing to it. There's no tags. There's no nothing. It's just a wormhole of shit, basically. I don't know why a lot of companies, including gaming companies and this one, for instance, it's like, hey, let's create an app, get a bunch of users, and then put shit on the app. Mm-hmm. Why don't you make the app first and make it to a point where it's really good, and then release it, right? Twitter does so well because it's already an established platform. You can't say, hey, you can basically, like, there's no benefit to Threads. Threads sucks.
Well, I'll say from a business perspective, the Facebook, Meta, saw a marketing niche. And maybe there's some ego involved between Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. He wanted to do something similar to just to do it. But they saw an opportunity because Twitter's been losing ad revenue. Mm-hmm. And I guess they thought just get something up, get it running, get people on it just because they'll buy into it just because they don't want to be on Twitter. Like that's the mentality. And suck it up that way. And then we'll improve it as time goes by. So they're counting on people being sheep and saying, well, at least it's not Twitter, at least it's not us, and get onto Thread.
Well, that kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week, which was you're politicizing an app one way or another.
Yeah.
So people who are on the left who don't like where Twitter's going, they go over to Threads, and Threads is generally pretty left-leaning. So all you've done is just skewed the politics. You've just made a political app, essentially.
Yeah.
So
and then they become echo chambers, basically. You don't really learn any new info. It just becomes everybody saying the same stuff in different ways.
My other problem with this is Meta plans retention hooks. So this goes back to my overall problem with kind of my generation. And this is something I actually talked to Jason about the other night. I think the YouTuber is kind of dead. And what I mean by that is no one wants to watch a 20-minute video, right? So retention hooks, everything's going to go to YouTube Shorts or a TikTok style now, where everyone has to get their content in a minute. But what's funny is the opposite end of that is more people like podcasts, which are long form. So anything under an hour, no one wants to watch it. Anything over an hour, you have a chance. If it's under a minute, people are definitely going to watch it because it's quick. So it bothers me, and I guess, I mean, you have to do this from Meta's standpoint, and I'm sure Twitter will go the same way too. You have to play, instead of forcing, oh, well, I mean, I guess it's a business, so it makes sense. But instead of saying, hey, try and watch a 12-minute video, it's, hey, we're going to cater to our audience, which tends to be kids, and lower the retention rate. So let's keep it 30 seconds instead of a minute. Like, how low can we go to the point where long-form content just doesn't exist anymore? Can anyone do a 20-second podcast?
Well,
is that possible?
What is the statistics on podcasts? Because I can't sit through a full podcast. Unless I'm driving somewhere.
Yeah.
I would rather see the clips from it. I don't want to see the whole
I'm
thing.
going to say something hypocritical here.
Yeah.
Ready? I don't know how people watch 5-hour live streams. So even though I live stream and we do 5 hours every night, and again I love my viewers who stay the whole time like Travis and all those guys, but usually you're doing something at the same time.
Yeah.
If there's someone that just sits there and watches like it's TV for
Yeah.
5 hours, I don't know how you do it. I don't know. Do I give props or do I call for help? You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know how.
But even TV, 5 hours, it's not the same thing. It's a 30-minute sitcom. 30
But
minutes
people
of
will watch a
maybe an
3-hour
hour.
movie.
Yes, a 3 hour, but 5 hours? I don't know too
I don't
many.
know.
No, kids
Well,
could do that. Kids could sit for 5 hours.
Oh,
and
I don't
watch-
know anymore. I don't know if they could.
Well, you can because it's all clips. They won't watch TV, but well, you're right. I think young people, they don't have the mental ability
I think
to do
we've
it.
killed the retention rate of human beings through social media.
Yeah.
I don't think TikTok helped, but I'm not gonna. Excuse me. I don't blame TikTok for it. At least TikTok, you can put up to 10 minutes now.
Yeah.
But it you know, it's funny because, well, I blame Vine. Vine was 7 seconds.
I'll take it even further. We killed the creative mind
Yeah, I agree.
when we took away reading.
Mm.
Okay? Yes. Case in point, your generation and everyone around it, and you were one of the first ones to drop. But it's
Oh,
a
thanks.
slow process, but I have seen it in a lot of people that you will still see the people who are readers tend to be, they have a different mind. Their mind thinks differently than people that need to see the short
but I don't think
stimulations.
I think just reading in general. Like I don't think reading. Well, here's. I think I somewhat make up for it in video games because my fantasies come from like I can create my own fantasies based off video games that I play. Whereas back in the day, if I wasn't a video game person, to your point, I don't think I'd have the creativity that I have because I don't read. Like I was never a reader.
Right, but it's not just about being, fantasizing type of things. It's
Right.
about
Right, it's more so creating
Creating
the images.
images in the brain
from-
and having the brain being able to do that and connecting it to the written word. It's now being fed to you, fed to you.
I don't think I would have a problem with that though. I don't think I've lost it. If I was to pick up a book, I think I could still imagine it through words. Like that's pretty easy for me.
I don't know because you had trouble doing it. You're not alone. You had trouble doing it when you were younger. And that's
I-
why you
nowadays
didn't
I
have
could
a
do it
love of
pretty easily.
reading. A love of reading being you did it, but you
Yeah.
didn't embrace it. Your generation doesn't embrace it. It's even worse for the younger ones because,
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to test it, but there's a great game that I played a couple years ago that I thought was super interesting. You play as a blind man, and the reason that you say this reminds me of it. I wish if any of our viewers know what it is. You play as a blind guy, and the whole screen is just white, so it's like a bright light. You have to tap your stick, and it'll actually bring everything to life. So it goes by like the sound location, so you can figure out where a wall is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've always been very good with maps.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Like I can memorize a map real easily and like rebuild it in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where I think I do have the creativity to do things like edit videos and stuff like that. But to your point, again, I don't know if I can read a Harry Potter book and get all the way through it without going, man, I just want to see the movie.
Well, right. It's not. I won't even say it's generational. I think it's cultural now because
Absolutely.
I think even my generation has lost, and I'm generalizing, the interest in reading. I don't have the time to read as much as I used to,
Right.
but it's amazing when I do pick up a book, even in this overstimulated world. For me, it's enjoyable. Like it's like
Right.
a lost enjoyment. But that's
Sometimes.
because I can connect to it from when I was younger and was able to immerse yourself in a book. You kids don't understand that about your generation, but immersing in a book.
I also wonder who do you think has a better retention rate in children, U.S. or China? I bet you China's is probably pretty good because their TikTok is all education purposes.
Well, I have that story about the girl that took the money.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second.
When we get to it, but I will
yeah,
tell you as
we'll do
part of
that
that
one next.
article, China, and this is for all your listeners, this is why we embrace America and freedom of speech and freedom of everything.
Right.
China is now putting a limit on internet usage for teens and children, 3 hours a week.
Interesting. Yeah, well, that sucks, first off. And
Because they're
two,
having a problem with kids being addicted to online gaming.
Yeah. I don't know if putting limits on things actually helps because it just makes you want those more. The things you can't have, right? That's just human nature. But
Well, I don't believe limits on anything from your government because that's communism.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't do that.
Yeah.
And it's not the government's position to say, you know, what person can and cannot do, a child can and cannot do, in my opinion. But
I just wonder, again, I just don't think we go up from here. Like Jason brought up a good point. Like everything swings, so
yes,
you have the radiation. But my question is, when you start affecting how the brain functions of like, hey, just retention and how long you can watch a video for, I just don't think it goes up. So that's why I wonder, is it worth? And I talked to Jason about this. I was like, we make more videos we get more views on shorts and the podcast and the live streams than I do on any of my edited videos, which takes me days. So I was like, man, do I stop making middle form videos?
Oh, you know what else I want to say is a factor too? Like I've noticed even with me, I don't read all my articles anymore. If there's an embedded video, I watch the video, right? Unless it's something that's really interesting or intricate, I'll read it. But I think that's also a function of the volume, right? I'm not just getting 5 articles anymore. I'm getting like 25, 30 articles at a sitting. So I have to flush through it pretty fast. So I just want to pick out the important stuff because I don't have the time to sit there and read 50 articles. I think the same might be true of your situation too with this stuff, but people have other options.
Right.
So you want to bring them in and catch them.
It's also much easier to watch an hour of different shorts than 1 hour long podcast. So like I'll catch myself at night, like when I'm in bed trying to sleep, I'll go through my Instagram reels, which are hilarious.
Yeah.
Like Instagram reels, I'm always gonna keep. I hate Instagram, but the reels are so good. But like I can do that for like I have to like tell myself like I gotta stop.
Yeah.
Because I could just keep going.
Yeah.
So, but if you would give me a podcast at whatever time I'm going to bed, there's no way I could do it. It'll probably put me to sleep. So to your point, the amount of volume that you get nowadays is insane. It's astronomical.
Right, especially in social media, and I think that's affecting how much I'm reading and retaining also. Or I'll read halfway through an article and stop, which I never used to do that years ago, but I didn't have the volume that I have now. I also have multiple sites that I go to. Everybody knows it. You're all in the same situation, but I think that's another reason why. But even this, okay, so now you have Threads. All right, so I'll go on Threads. And now I'll go on X. And I'll go on it's not like there's just one platform.
Well, it's also
anymore.
interesting. Here's another reason why Threads falls apart. There's really no videos. It's all pictures. There's literally just words and pictures.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They really got rid of, like, there's a reason people are leaving Threads.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing to do on it.
But yet I think Facebook stock is the highest it's been.
Really?
Well, the market's been
up.
up.
But Facebook has nothing to do with Instagram. They're just owned by the same people.
No,
like,
but Facebook
different.
is Threads. That's Meta.
Meta is Threads, yeah. They're not the same, though. They don't go... They are, but they're not... It's kind of like how Coca-Cola owns like Mountain Dew and all that stuff. They're all completely different.
No, but it's the same stock. I think it's the same stock.
Oh, is it?
I
maybe.
think
I would have thought that.
Yeah.
So, well, my other problem with Threads is like, they kind of lied to us. Zuckerberg said it's not going to be anything to do with your Instagram, but the only way to get rid of your Threads account is by deleting your Instagram. So you've lied to us.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense.
Well, you know my feeling about Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
So let's move on from that.
I think we know. Yeah,
Be
I know a
prepared.
lot of people's feelings
Yes.
about Zuckerberg. So let's go to the one that you talked about. Teenage mom. A teenager found her mom's credit card and spent $64,000 on mobile games. Oh my God.
This is in China. That's what I was saying. That shocked me more. This was in China. She was 13 years old. She spent it on mobile games. The parent gets a call from the teacher because she's in boarding school. Because the teacher was concerned, finally a positive thing out of teachers, that she was spending too much time on gaming and that she thought the girl had an addiction. Mm-hmm. So the mom goes and checks her balance in her account, which has 7 cents left in it. Is their life savings, okay? So from January to May, this girl spent $16,800 on gaming accounts. She spent $30,000 in game purchases, and to make it worse, she transferred money to classmates so that they could buy products too.
Oh my
Somehow along the line, she
God.
got her mother's password. And she knew what she was doing because she was also deleting all the transactions and any comments on this so the mother couldn't see it.
Man.
Mm-hmm. She's afraid her mother would be mad at her. Oh, no kidding.
Oh.
Her parents.
Do you
she said.
talk to your kid after that? Like, what do you do?
Oh my God.
Like,
So she said the friends were pestering her so much that she had to do it.
my God.
Addiction is so bad in China, as I was saying before. They are now putting restrictions on the internet for teens and children, where they're only allowed 3 hours per week.
I hope, like, what I would do is kind of like what happened with that Fortnite kid. Remember the Fortnite kid that spent his mom's credit card or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
They gave the money back. Luckily, they were like, "Listen, we get it." Like,
the mother did get some refund.
Okay,
She
thank
said
God.
from
Holy
some
shit.
of these the places, but you know, in all fairness, they shouldn't have to do that. How does the girl
This is
get the password?
Right,
Change
but-
your password.
but-
How are you not monitoring from
That I agree with.
January
That's a
to
deal.
May?
I
Your
agree.
life savings. You never saw a bank statement? Did you not notice? I
Well,
gotta
if she was
believe China
deleting
to
the
have it.
transactions, then maybe. But
But you'd see your balances going
Yeah.
down. It's a debit card.
64,000.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you if you gave me unlimited money, I don't even think I could rack up 64,000 in video games. The mobile games
But
are the
it
problem.
wasn't just her. She was giving money to classmates.
Oh, that's right,
She's
yeah.
transferring to friends because they were quote
How does
unquote
this girl know
pressuring
how
her.
to do transfers? How's this 13-year-old figure out transfers?
That's what I'm saying. I think this girl knew
Hold
exactly
on.
what she was doing here. It's not like
I don't know if
was...
she knew or if someone around her knew and was telling her to spend the money.
Well, it
Someone
could be.
older.
She said she was pressured. She's 13, but $16,800 on game accounts. Well, and part
In
of
my
it,
life, I've never spent that much on games.
well, part of it, she wasn't paying attention. Like she just loaded the debit card, and she would just buy, and she wasn't keeping track. Endless stream of
Could
money.
you explain to our viewers the difference between a debit card and a credit card? Just because I think you would do a better job than I would.
Sure. A debit card links to an amount of money, and it's an automatic withdrawal. So it's like, you
Yeah.
know, going and taking money out of
So
bank.
if you
on a
don't
different
want
card.
you don't get a credit card statement when you use a debit card, right? Because
You get a statement, you get a bank statement.
Right.
It shows you all your
Oh,
transactions.
okay. I don't.
You
use a
should
debit
get it
card,
every
so-
month or however often. Credit card is, we're gonna give you a limit of $10,000. Spend it, don't spend it, we don't care. But as soon as you spend it, you can only spend up to $10,000, and you have to pay back a minimum amount every month or the full amount. If you only do the
Only do
minimum, we're gonna pay. You have to pay interest on the difference
Right.
of what you
Usually
owe.
it's a crazy interest
Until you
too,
pay
like
it back.
36%.
Right. Well, it's a double digit.
Yeah.
That's type of interest rates.
So can you actually almost? I've never thought of it this way, but isn't a debit card essentially just a big boy gift card in the sense of you get like a certain limit on it, which happens to be your bank account, and it just goes down every time you use it?
Yeah, but I mean, when you get your paycheck, it goes or whatever. If something goes in, you put a deposit in. You now have access to that money. They don't charge you interest on it, but once you hit zero, there's no more money. You
right.
can't take any more
You
out.
can't overdraw a debit card, can you?
You can because there's overdrafts,
Really,
Like
even
they'll-
on a debit card?
but it becomes a loan.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
why-
So then that's a big
Right.
percent.
So usually what they do, it's an optional thing, but what will happen is if you have another account, they'll sweep the money over if you overdraw it, or they'll start charging you for overdrafts. Sometimes that could put you in negative numbers for the fees.
Do you know how? So I don't know if you saw, but Beyonce and Jay-Z just bought a $200 million mansion in cash. Turns out, and I don't know. Apparently, you can put a loan on your assets, and then you can buy those back, and essentially you pay nothing.
I don't know the full structure of that,
Yeah,
but it doesn't sound. I mean, it sounds like you can borrow money from yourself, but remember, people like that, they don't do it in their personal names. They
Right.
have corporations, the Beyonce LLC.
Right, and then
the
you do it as a
JC
write-off,
LLC.
probably.
Oh,
Right.
there's all sorts of stuff people do. Yeah, I mean, it's not like they may personally buy property, but oftentimes they don't have much in their name because they don't want to get sued. They
Yeah,
have
yeah,
LLCs
yeah. They
and
put it to
corporations.
the, yeah.
Right, I'm sure they don't own their homes in their names. They probably have trust funds and whatnot that owns their properties or their LLCs. And they take loans against that and pay themselves back nothing.
Right, I think that's what they ended up doing. I think they put a lien on their assets or something like that, and they
Right.
were able to buy through their assets without paying anything. I saw a whole breakdown of it, but it didn't make sense to me. That's all.
Yeah, I'd have to see more, but you can take
could
a
ask Michael
loan
Hall
if you
from
pledge.
Politics.
Well, I used to do loans for professionals where, say, they want $100,000 loan.
Mhm.
Well, the bank that I worked for required collateral, and if they had a CD or a bank account with $100,000 in it, we would use
CD
that
stands for.
a certificate of deposit, which
Right.
just locks up the money and you get interest rate for a short period of time. And then people say, well, if I have $100,000, why would I need the loan? Like, in other words, why? And that's the point. That's your choice. You can write off some of the loans, the interest payments and whatnot, and you'll still earn interest on your money that you have saved.
Right.
So that's the reason why they would use it as collateral. So if you ever stop paying the loan back, now we take the asset. But you could do that too. Even though you have the money, some people don't use the money to buy things because there's a benefit to them borrowing against that money while it keeps earning interest, and you pay the loan, which is less money than what the interest earns. So there's a lot of different things. Taxes come into it too.
So again, 64,000 on mobile games. Mobile games is where you get caught because mobile games are so targeted to kids spending money.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised the SEC doesn't crack down on mobile gaming. They're ridiculous. False advertising is like number one problem. There's been a couple apps like you'll see on. I'm sure you've seen it, but certain applications, like let's say you're watching a video, it'll say here's a recommended mobile app, and it looks like this really fun app, right? It looks like there's gameplay, and then you download the app, it's nothing. Like it looks nothing like the commercial that they just gave you. I mean, that's first off, that's false advertising. Second, they're all money. They're just asking for money the whole time. There's got to be more regulations on mobile games.
Well, I do think, how does a 13-year-old, she must have been lying about her age, unless she's doing all children's games. Because usually there's an age limit to some of these games, like mature only.
Not on mobile games.
Not on mobile games. So that's a problem right there, I think, in general, that you can control it. But I'm also somebody, I don't think it's the government's responsibility to regulate everything. And I do understand how hard it is. I've been a parent. It's like, it must be even worse.
I don't think any
now.
of us have spent 64,000 video games.
No, but you know what? You might see more of that. You might see more of that in the
but
future.
To your point, that's negligence on the parents. If you give your kid never in my life have I been on your credit card or dad's credit card, right? I don't think any of us have.
Well, in all fairness, the girl found out the mother's password. It's not that the mother gave it to her. That's what the article said.
A good point. That's a good point.
So that's part of the reason why maybe she's
How shitty was your password that your 13-year-old daughter's figuring it out?
But I still go back to, are you not checking your life savings every month? I mean, you had to notice at some point that, I don't know how it works in China, but don't you get a bank statement? Did you not look? Which,
the only way I can think about it is like, let's say you had multiple accounts and you had one account that was just never touched. Maybe you want to get a statement because you're not touching it. And you put it in something where it's accruing interest.
You still should get.
Because you'd still get an interest sheet, right? It would still give you what your monthly interest is on the life savings if you have it in an account.
Well, so put it this way: if this woman wasn't getting statements, I hope she learned a lesson, and a lot of people listening learn a lesson. As boring as it is, like I know young people, they check their balances in real time. Yeah. You guys do it all in real time.
Now we do it in
old
2 apps.
School people. Now the girl's 13. The mother's probably younger than I am, but who knows? We're used to, you reconcile an account every month because we're not just doing 1 and 2 transactions. We're doing a lot more than a lot of young people do. And you need to make sure nobody's, making mistakes on your account or doing something like this. I feel for the mother.
I do still think, though, that these apps are predatory. Like, there's no, hey, are you of age or whatever. It's just, here's a $100 pack of gems or whatever. Right. Just click here and it just goes right. It's just going.
Right. Which I agree that is wrong and that needs to be dealt with. Yeah. But until it's dealt with, it's the parents' responsibility. And it's not fair. It stinks. But if parents say, what am I to do? I can't deal with it. Well, guess what? China, people are going to do like China. They're going to put restrictions on there. Right. And now, you take away your role as a parent. So you got to be the bad guy. No one wants to be the bad guy. No one wants to say you can't play video games till your homework's done. That's like taboo nowadays. And I have a problem with that.
Interesting. Yeah. Hopefully people wake up to that one.
Yeah.
What is this one? World of Warcraft gamers dupe AI-powered news site by discussing a character that doesn't exist.
Yeah. He played a trick.
You're telling me some World of Warcraft gamers?
Yeah. The World of Warcraft gamers, actually I think it was Reddit. Was it Reddit who did it? Gamers, they duped the AI power. So they created a character named Glorbo.
Glorbo.
Yeah, Redditors, they tricked AI into writing an article about this character, even though they made it completely up. They were talking about it, I guess, online. They were designed to expose how these gaming news mills, they call it, content mills. The one that they reference is the Portal, which is part of Z-League. They do a scraping practice.
I know Dave is foaming at the mouth right now because I know Dave loves his World of Warcraft. So I know nothing about World of Warcraft. Okay. I was not a big World of Warcraft
Well, they created this character just to kind of... They were trying to make it a point of how when you take out the human element, and AI comes in, and you could easily manipulate it. So they completely made a character up. They talked it up. I guess the scraping practice is they go in and they listen to these things and they pull articles or they create articles out of it using AI. And they talked about, there's a new character in World of Warcraft called Glorbo, and there isn't.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really
so
funny.
So they duped the AI.
Yeah.
Huh. I gotta play this once.
But
every time I hear World of Warcraft, remember this one? My mom likes this video.
Which one is it?
You
Not
know
the girl
this
with the
one.
cat.
No. Go to this.
What do you think, Abdul? Can you give me a number crunch real quick? Yeah, give me a sec. I'm coming up with 32.33, repeating, of course, percentage of survival. That's a lot better than we usually do. All right, thumbs up. Ready, guys? Let's do this. Oh my God, he just ran in. Stick
it through. It just goes to shit real quick.
God.
Stick to the plan.
Stick to the plan. It's in there. All alone, he's getting swarmed. That might be one of the most legendary clips of all time. It has to be.
Sorry, Bob.
I cannot believe he just ran in years and years of planning.
Yeah.
Ruins
all that
it all.
time setting it up.
That's the beauty. I just remember. Do you remember when PJ told us? And I think it's true. I don't remember. One of the banks were hiring a lot of these World of Warcraft kids because the in-game economy is a real bank. So they started hiring all these kids, and they were like banking geniuses. Remember? So. Yeah.
I believe it. The numbers that they're crunching. When he was like 32.338.
Yeah. I crunched the numbers.
Right.
Whatever, Leroy. So I didn't get to
Well, I'm
read
going
this
to
one.
do the AI one next because let me throw in my next AI one. It was Sara Silverman. I was going to do that one first before the other one we just did. But anyhow, she sued Meta and ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first article I saw. We've talked about it. Other celebrities are starting to do this too. So she is suing them because they're using her content without her permission for AI language models. And now we know, obviously more people, especially celebrities, is going to start happening.
Yeah.
So this was the first one I saw. I guess it was a couple weeks ago. I didn't have it for the last week podcast, but we've since talked about it. I think we talked about it last time. How they got to get a handle on this. There has to be some sort of legislation or some sort of ruling.
What's also weird is like these companies don't think that we'll find out. You know what I mean? So here's one. He's a rapper. He's like a YouTube rapper or something. I don't know exactly who he is, but Activision used one of his videos. Yeah. And Activision, he's like, hey, can you just pay me for it? Because, I don't care if you use it, just pay me for it. Activision's suing him now, saying that it's basically fair use and that we shouldn't have to pay him. So they're countersuing, basically.
Right.
It's like...
Which could be the argument, and that's what has to be decided.
But you're not going to win against a multi-billion-dollar organization. Like, you don't have a case against these guys.
You might, because we're in uncharted territory, and it could go as far as the Supreme Court. And they may have to rule who owns that voice. Is everything you've done, is it owned by the studio? Is it owned by contract? Who owns you as... And that goes back kind of what I was saying, like Beyonce. Beyonce's a person, but her business is Beyonce LLC. Right. You can't have it both ways. You can't claim, well, that's me as a person, but at the same time, when I want to buy a house, that's not me. That's somebody else, right? Or when you're getting sued, that's not me personally, that's my LLC. So that's something that's going to have to be litigated, and they're going to have to get to a point where, they're going to have to pay these individuals for that, or the court could decide that's public.
So Activision is suing a TikTok music critic named Anthony Fantano. I know, I could picture his face. I didn't know that was his name. For alleged scheme to demand legal settlement over a meme. So it's his meme that he created. He just said, "Hey, it's my meme.
Right, just pay me for it."
Yeah, just pay me for it. Yeah. And I guess Activision is suing because it's not like TikTok has to pay him for it, or like whoever uses his TikToks. But for some reason, they have to. I don't know. I really don't know how this one goes down.
But sometimes you have to countersue to elevate.
That's true.
The question, because it has to be decided legally. Otherwise, nobody's getting paid until something is litigated. If the guy's suing him for using the meme, they can't use the meme. But I think they're also starting to see that we're moving into an area where we need to have some sort of litigation and some sort of settlement.
Definitely. So I just saw another article that I didn't bring up today. a girl on TikTok who has 100K followers, she's like blowing up, isn't a real person. It's all AI.
Right.
It's not. It looks incredibly realistic.
Right.
We are definitely going into a scary, uncharted territory that I think we're not prepared for.
Right,
yet.
and where did they get the content for that AI? That's the issue.
Yeah.
If somebody created it in a basement somewhere and it's their first step, fine. But if they're pulling it from celebrities, from other people, and however that's coming out, language,
Where's
verbiage.
the likeness from? Where's the voice from? It's got to be someone's voice.
Exactly,
right?
and that's where. And if you look, it says in that paragraph with the oranges, alleges that leaked information. That's how she found out about it.
Yeah, they're not telling people. Yeah, they're trying to make it so that you can't tell. Because the odds of you going, oh, that's my voice is slim to none.
Right.
Also, the odds of you seeing it. I mean, good for her for figuring it out, like noticing or having someone tell her. Either way, someone brought it up. This is going to be a big problem
Right,
in the next
and
couple
that's
of
why
years.
I think she's one of the first ones I have seen to do this, but it's going to be an
This is a
issue
gateway,
for
yeah.
even bigger celebrities than she is,
Yeah.
where they're using this stuff and somebody has to make a decision.
I think we don't understand. I think because we are living in it, we don't understand. But this is the start of like a huge part of history, right?
Yeah,
100 years from
technology.
now, more than 100,000 years from now, this is going to be they're going to say back in 2023, OpenAI created the AIs that we have today. These were the problems. Like this stuff is going to be in history books. That's how big of a deal this is. So
Yeah, it's uncharted
but it's going to be a
territory.
problem.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's going back to he was ridiculed for it, but as Elon Musk has said,
Right.
and others who said who are a proponent of this, it has to be regulated. It's
Has to,
going to be
yeah.
you can't just put anything out there because then you wind up having Glorba characters, where the Reddit people just make it up for fun and AI picks it up and thinks
but
it's
it's
real.
the route we're going because, as you saw, I told you this. I don't remember if I said it last week on the podcast, but we have the writer's strike going on.
Mm-hmm.
All these writers are trying to get more pay, and Netflix said, "Cool story," or we just spend $900,000 on an AI bot so that we don't even have to rehire you, and now you're
Right.
like you're picketing for nothing.
Right.
So again, this is the route we are going, whether we like it or not. They're gonna find a way to do it. It's just a matter of who's gonna own the bots.
Mhm.
Now it's a race for who's gonna own them and who's gonna have the best one.
But you understand too, even it doesn't have to be technology. That's what's happened to everything in this country.
Oh yeah.
You had the American worker, and they got too expensive, and they turned around and said, "We don't need you at all. We can either build these things in a cheaper country where we don't have to pay as much, or we'll have robots do it."
Yeah.
And we've gradually seen. I mean, now we see robots doing surgery.
Yeah.
You don't even need
It's
doctors
insane.
or surgeons anymore. So that's good.
Is that important?
So that's one
Oh.
of those. That's one of these areas where. What's challenging about this is it's very hard to track. It's like grains of sand on a beach because AI is pulling massive amounts of data to do this, I assume, right? You're talking every celebrity, every voice out there, every Hitler speech, everything that it's pulling from to be able to regulate that is just, good luck.
I don't know how you do it. I think the only way you can regulate it is with a bot, just because it's so much information and so much regulation. But it's like, how do you know the bot's going to be right 100% of the time? We've already proven that all the AIs we have right now are not 100% proof.
Well, and how do you pay somebody for that?
Yeah.
How do you pay somebody for something, a meme, or, okay, that's a nice little thing, but if you're going to pay a Sara Silverman for all her comments, it's like the music industry. They get pennies every time
The
their
music
song
industry is
played.
basically shot at this point. Oh, what's up, Bobo? The music industry is pretty shot right now in the sense of it's just a matter of time before they start making better music. The most viral thing right now on TikTok is Cartman singing
Right.
like every time we touch, but
Right.
like it sounds really good,
Yeah.
but no one owns that, and I'm sure people want to keep hearing them.
Right. And
So
what
how
do
much
you
longer are
pay
these? Yeah.
Do you pay them one time for their whatever AI content?
Well, people are going to
Do you
want
pay
the
them
biggest
multiple
contract
times?
possible.
Right.
Yeah.
And what if 20 years from now somebody uses Sara Silverman's voice they wanted a voice? What, do you pay her a state a certain amount?
Right.
It's not like patent stuff. It's a little bit
Is
more
that your
encompassing.
is that your way of saying Sarah Silverman's not going to last another 20 years?
I'm not a big Sara Silverman fan to begin with, but
Well-
I do respect the fact that she pushed this for a lot of celebrities who
Yeah.
I hope a lot of attorneys out there are saying, hell yeah, we're going to sue.
Yeah. I think the ultimate end of this is, I think I've said this either on the podcast or live stream. Every family's going to have its own robot eventually, and that's going to be what works while you stay home and do whatever you want. So you're going to have like robot butlers for work, so they make the money for the home. I think that's what it's going to get to, but
Maybe.
it's going to take about 100 years to get to that point at least.
Maybe.
So, yeah. I don't have anything else. I have one more, but I realize it doesn't really matter. Like,
Well, did we do the one on the PS5 coming out with the slimmer version? Did we talk about that already?
No, we talked about it last year with the Q, the PSQ.
Project
or
Q,
whatever,
okay.
Project Q. But
Yeah.
the slim version of the PS5, what does that matter? I don't think you sent
It's
me that
part
one.
of that Activision Blizzard, Microsoft purchasing it. They're throwing it out there to make it sound like, Microsoft is going to fall down to, because of Sony coming out, they think it's going to propel their Microsoft down into Xbox stuff down into third place or something like that. So it's making their deal less attractive. I just threw it out there because I couldn't remember if we talked about the PS5. They said it's going to come out this year. They leaked that in their court
So
case.
it's the PS5
Slim version.
Slim, okay.
It's going to be $399 coming out this year. Microsoft revealed this in its FTC trial to acquire Activision Blizzard. They're also doing the handheld version, the Project Q, which is going to be under $300. Microsoft is trying to make the case that Sony's move would put Microsoft in third place competitively. So in other words, the FTC can't say, well, you'll be a behemoth if we allow this deal to go through, because the US and UK don't want it to go through. They have issues with it. Microsoft's saying, well, listen, our competitor's coming out with something this year. They divulged that.
Yeah.
Sony hasn't commented. They're not saying anything. And when that happens, we're going to be in third place. So we're not even going to be the lead in the market share. So you should approve this case.
My only problem with that is that's not really true in the sense of Microsoft still has the monopoly over like laptops and stuff.
Well, that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
There's only certain things
So
you can run on.
consoles, I mean, consoles maybe. I don't use consoles because consoles are so poor. But from a computer standpoint, I mean, Mac, I'm surprised no one's brought up that. The fact that Microsoft has the monopoly by far on PCs. Like, MacBooks, especially in the gaming industry. Like, MacBooks, yeah, you have Apple, but they're ass.
I have to say, one of the funniest things I've ever seen on Twitter was when Bill Gates was doing something in, like, around the world for medical stuff, and somebody wrote at the bottom of it, Could you tell Bill Gates to stop picking the lice out of a little kid's hair in Africa and fix my outlook?
Fix my outlook?
Like, so funny. They're doing some human interest story where he's,
Look,
Gates is involved. Like, it sounded so cold, but it was so true. He's like,
less helping the people with lice and helping with
stop picking the lice out of the kid's hair in Africa and fix my Microsoft
Outlook is such a process. Yeah.
This is like a couple of years ago. Like, that is so true. People were complaining about whatever it was.
Microsoft Outlook sucks.
Yeah, they were like complaining so much. And everyone is writing, oh, it's so wonderful he's doing this. Oh, this is great. You get to it was just priceless.
Malaria or my Outlook? Oh, God.
Picking lice. That is what he was doing. Oh, God. I did have one more about the star sound.
The star sound?
Yeah, you might want to play it on your. I don't know, it's up to you.
You didn't send me these.
Yes, I did. I sent you
I don't
that
think
one.
you sent me that
sound.
one. I only got
Bless
three
you.
from- bless you,
Northwestern scientists, they converted the gas waves into sound waves on a star, so you can hear what a star sounds
I'm not signing
like.
back in. Holy.
That's right.
Google, get it together.
Apparently, in the core, you have pressure. It squeezes hydrogen atoms together, and they become helium atoms. And excess energy. That creates the heat, which causes plasma to act like lava. Okay, so you got this flowing thing going on inside the center of the star. I know, I'm almost done. This creates waves that push to the star's surface, causing the surface plasma to compress and decompress. That's how you get the brightness and the dimming of a star. But finally, they found that there were these other waves. So the waves were so high, they had to increase the frequency so humans can hear it. And they posted the sound. And it's interesting, all the different sounds a star makes.
Really?
Explodes, doesn't explode. Yeah,
Right, 'cause it's
apparently it makes
constantly
noises.
moving.
Like some sound like sirens. It's if you wanted to post it. I didn't get to play it all, but yeah. So they added frequencies to it so the human ear could hear what it would sound like, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. So I could send you the article
Yeah.
again if
We
you have it.
don't have any podcast questions or not, and we don't really have too many memes this week. Trying to think of none of these were. No offense, guys, but the memes this week were pretty weak.
Yeah.
Well, but I had a decent one, I think, and Travis had a decent one. I thought this one was
These new
pretty good.
saplings look sick, man. Even the trees are cool. Wow, dude, I could definitely use some of this for my house. Man, even these flowers are amazing. Let's see if I can get a bigger one. Whoa, that's a big one.
The Nazi symbol. Oh my god! I thought this one was pretty cool. Tom Brady's son, when his girlfriend asked him where he learned how to kiss.
So well.
My dad.
I thought that was pretty good.
Oh.
Because he like kisses his dad on the mouth or whatever. Sorry, Tom.
No, he was talking about something else, that interview.
Yeah, that
I forget,
interview,
I
but it's
just
funny how
choked
they
up
put
on
it.
his dad,
He was
yeah.
talking. That's actually a good one because the kid asks who his heroes are.
Yeah.
And Tom
and
just
my
chokes
dad.
up.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but yeah, we need more memes, guys. We're not getting enough good memes. I gotta make a separate category because I know some of them are whatever. But you know what? I'm gonna add that right now. We're gonna do a meme of the week category in here.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll end it there just because our
Hope
dog's
he's
getting a little
ready.
antsy. He's gotta go out with his leg, so hopefully he's got a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
56 done. The only thing I have to promote. The only thing we have, so Humankind I just put out last week. We only put out the one video. No, you can go. You
I
can
can
take
go.
it.
I will.
And then yeah, bye.
I will.
Jason and I are going to continue Remnant 2, so that'll be what we do for the next week. Then next month, so once we finish Remnant 2 and Platinum it, that's when we're going to start. I'm going to start Dark Souls 2, do my note taking, and then we'll do that Platinum run, or walkthrough, I should say. So that'll be the next one. We have a lot of Souls games coming out, guys. So we have. So let me just give you the next couple months because this is an important one. So we have. You going, pups? Go, go, go. Go, 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 go. He's coming. So we have Remnant 2, which Jason and I are hopefully going to finish either by the end of this week or the beginning of next, depending. Then we have Dark Souls 2, which I want to do in a month. Then we have Lords of the Fallen, which actually we have Lies of P, which comes out in September. October, that's Lies of the Fallen. And then we'll do Dark Souls 3, I think, unless anything else comes out then. So it's going to be, like, the rest of the year is going to be basically Souls games for all the walkthroughs, which will be fun. Like, I don't think we're going to get to Dark Souls 3 till next year, to be honest. So that's the plan. Other than that, social media down below, promo codes down below, other stream links down below, Discord down below. Again, we need more podcast questions, hot takes, memes of the week. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So you guys enjoy the weekend. I'll see you. Well, actually, this comes out on Monday, so what am I talking about? So I'll see you guys on Monday for this podcast. This also comes out on Tuesday, so tomorrow. And then I will see you guys tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So thank you guys for watching as always, and we'll see you next week.